Suns beaming, taking a 2-0 lead as the series shifts to Los Angeles. Still no CP3 or Kawhi Leonard. Devin Booker, not his best night. DeAndre Ayton with an alley-oop that will go down in playoff history. Mr. Smith, where are you? Let me see that face. What was the biggest reason for the Suns' win?
Well, to me, the biggest reason was two-part. Number one, it was Cameron Payne, as I mentioned earlier, a backup point guard that obviously has been counseled and tutored by CP3, that played 37 minutes, shot 50% from the field, 12 or 24 shooting, finished with 29 points, 8 assists, not a single turnover in 37 minutes. That is a spectacular game numbers-wise. It didn't look spectacular because there was a lot of sloppy basketball on the offensive side. The guys were just missing shots. I shouldn't say sloppy because they didn't have a lot of turnovers last night. They just weren't making shots. I'd bring him in and DeAndre Ayton, who was it, at 24 and 14. The brother's playing big time. You got to give credit where credit is due. Former #1 overall pick that was picked ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young is flat out balling and validating his stature as a former #1 overall pick because you can't teach 7 feet, and he's really the lone big man that they have. So I give them to a lot of credit, no question about it. That's what comes to my mind more than anything else.
Well, when one guy takes two, who am I supposed to talk about now exactly? I'm going to talk about DeAndre Ayton because that's the reason, Stephen A. DeAndre Ayton was the #1 overall pick, and guess what? You can't call him a bust. You cannot call him a bust. If you're the #1 overall pick and you can't be called a bust, you're a hell of a player. And DeAndre Ayton was already on his way. CP3 clearly accelerated that this year. Let me tell you why they won last night. And the Clippers so far have demonstrated to me they're the superior team on a neutral court. If you need miracle plays and the other team to miss free throws and everything and you're winning by a possession at home, you're probably beating a better team. Let me tell you why they're winning, though, without their leader, without Chris Paul. Because DeAndre Ayton has come of age. He has arrived in these playoffs. He matched up with AD, too green. I mean, AD was hurt, but no, that was not the case. AD had his hands full with DeAndre Ayton. Oh, now it's Jokic. How's he going to stop Jokic? Because Jokic could kill you passing, too. He did that, too. DeAndre Ayton has elevated himself now to all-star status. When the season starts next year and we look at him, we're going to be thinking potential all-star this year. He has a very good chance to make that team and make it on an ongoing basis. And what does that mean? It means, unlike a team like the Bucks, who, hey, we have Giannis and Middleton once in a while might make an all-star team, and has Holiday ever made one? That kind of big three. No, they have Chris Paul and Devin Booker and now DeAndre Ayton. That's a legitimate big three. It's the last remaining one. And what does that mean? It means even when one of those guys isn't playing, in this case, Chris Paul, their leader, you still have enough. He was dominating the boards and stretches in that game. Forget about the winning alley-oop dunk, right? But he was the difference. You bring Cameron Payne, and they have a good team, but DeAndre Ayton was keeping them in it even when the shots weren't falling. He has arrived. Phoenix has a big three. Even without their leader, they were able to win.
All right. Let me ask you this, Stephen A., coming to you here. So the final 1 minute, 57 seconds of the game took over 33 minutes of real time due to lengthy reviews. How bad is this for basketball?
It's horrible for basketball. It's incredibly bad. Listen, the last minute and a half took about 30 minutes to finish. The last 30 to 40 seconds took about 27 minutes. There is no excuse for that. Zero. And it's a bunch of micromanaging that's coming from the league office. It's a mandate down to the officials. Scott Forster, the lead official last night, did not have a handle on things. It just took too damn long. Too much stuff to figure out. It should not have taken that long. I completely support Jeff Van Gundy complaining about it, even though Mark Jackson was hilarious, calling them Groucho Marx or whatever the hell he called them. Listen, basketball is a rhythm game, like a lot of other sports. And you have to take that into consideration, and we have to accept human error. Now, obviously, you have with the advent of instant replay and all of this other stuff and technology, Max, where you can slow things down and get it correct. We understand the importance of that. I'm not attacking, the fact that you're doing that. I'm attacking the fact that somehow, some way, after all of this time, you haven't mastered to expedite the process and to get it done quicker. Because you got to take into account the fact that you're playing within the flow of a game and you're affecting potentially someone's performance. If you play basketball, Max, and you're sitting on the bench, what was the thing that we went off about Frank Ntilikina, with the Knicks when they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in Game 1? What we went off about, Max, was that Tom Thibodeau pulled Frank Ntilikina off the bench.
Cold,
hadn't played him the entire game.
Right.
And flat out cold, you're asking him to guard Trae Young.
Basketball is a game of
There's something
flow.
to be said for that. Well, but that's a coach messing up or a player messing up. That's not the officials. In this case, you got the officials disrupting the game because clearly they haven't mastered their art to the degree that they should have, so you can expedite this process. I think it's an incredibly bad look for the league, and it definitely was a bad night for Scott Foster, the official.
Right. This is the debate show, but I don't think we disagree about this one. It's just that we're just going to agree about this. I think there are two separate issues. One, should you even involve instant replay the number of times that they did, because it messes up the flow of the game, right? That's one. But two, like the NFL, what takes so long? What the hell takes so long? I'm sitting in my living room. I can see in 5 seconds on instant replay. Okay, sometimes I think I know, and then they show another angle, and they go, maybe see the third angle. Stephen A., I'll know in 15 seconds the right call on my couch, right? But people who are trained in this, who have the technology right there, it takes them a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It's absurd. It's absurd. Make the best reasonable guess you can make based on the instant replay and move on, if you're even going to use it. Now, sometimes there are things like that play with Devin Booker when Pat Beverly poked it out and everyone was complaining about it. Yeah. Actually there, I understood why they did the call the way they did. Usually when a guy pokes it out, it's at least simultaneous. Like if he's not the last guy to touch it, his hand's on the ball at the same time as the other guy. What instant replay showed there was, no, in fact, clearly, Devin Booker's hand was on the ball last, even though Pat Beverly forced it out. No one liked the call, but by the letter of the law, they got it right. I'm not beefing with that. A lot of people have beef with that. I'm not even beefing with that. But get the thing done and move on. It does not need to take that long. Again, if you're on your couch and you know you're 90% sure within 15 seconds, why do they need to take 5 minutes? It's ridiculous. It ruined the flow at the end of that game.
And you're empowering the officials to dictate an outcome when you lag like that. And you got to remember, the game took over 3 hours. The game took over 3 hours last night.
Even the last play, Monty Williams draws up the last play, and Jeff Van Gundy was calling for it, right? So it was a brilliant play, but Jeff Van Gundy knew what to do, directly into the alley-oop. But you don't even have time to set everything up if there's not so much time taken on replays. It's like extra timeouts.
No question. Thank God for naps and espresso. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now. All right, guys. Mad Max lived up to his nickname last night because he seemed to be battling the umps last